Hi everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Happy Sunday to all of you. I hope you guys are studying. आपका RBI का एग्जाम बहुत पास आ रहा है and I hope that you guys are preparing with the best of your capability, right? Uh, I'm here with the August bulletin of RBI. तो हमने जनवरी से लेकर अभी तक सारे जितने भी bulletins हैं हमने उन्हें cover किया है, right? We have covered from Jan, Feb, March, April. I hope you guys have seen those bulletins also. If not, it's okay. If you have followed my live meta analysis also, a lot of stuff is compiled in this bulletin only. It's just that in this bulletin you get more technical aspects of the economy. Okay, you get more technical aspects. Acha, audio is low. Okay, just a second, let me check. Okay, is it better now? Parmeshwara, good morning. MJ, is it better now? Just let me know. Good morning to you. So we are basically going to cover August bulletin of RBI in today's session. So what I was saying is that we have covered, from January till August, we have covered a lot of, we've covered every month bulletin and we have it over here also. Now, why this bulletin is important is because you get, good amount of data, you get good amount of scenario of what is actually happening, related to monetary policy, related to the economic status as of now. How is the economy working? What is the inflation scenario? What is the geopolitical scenario? You get a lot of information related to that, and that is why this becomes important. Okay, that is why this becomes important. Okay, and this will really help you not only in phase 1 directly MCQs that you can get, but in your phase 2 when you have to do descriptive writing, descriptive answer writing, you get a lot of stuff to quote from here, to get a lot of stuff to write down in your answer. This bullet is important so that you have a scenario, you know that what is the scenario as of now, how is the RBI working, in what direction the RBI is working, and what is the status of the domestic economy, what is the status of the global economy. All that you're going to get, you're going to understand in this session. Okay, before I begin, if you want to download this YouTube class PDF, you can do it from the Oliveboard app. Just go to the courses section in the Oliveboard app. There's going to be a separate YouTube class PDFs folder. You can download the PDF from here. All right, chalo. Also, if somebody is new here and you want to connect with me on Telegram, then Mannat Educator is my Telegram handle. You can connect with me over here. Okay, Mannat Educator. First of all, we are going to start off with this class with the RBI Governor's statement. uh, RBI governor said that our domestic economy is buoyed by, or you can say it is resilient. It is in the positive direction. Why? What are the reasons? You need to know the reasons behind why the domestic economy is resilient. First of all, we have good monsoon. As of now, we had good monsoon. If monsoon is good, that means our agriculture sector will be performing well. If our agriculture is sector is performing well, that means agriculture ka contribution towards GVA is going to be good. If contribution to GVA is going to be good, that means GDP is also going to increase. If GDP is going to be resilient and good, that means economic growth is going to happen, right? That is why we are saying that our domestic economy, first reason behind its resilience is the good monsoon progress. Secondly, festival season demand outlook. We know that October, the month of September, October, November, all these are festive season, and this time to Diwali and everything in October only, everything is going to be over, all the festive wala season, hai na? So because of that also, when our festive demand is good, that means our consumption spending increases, our consumption spending is good. And we have understood that AD is equal to what? C plus I plus G plus X minus M, है ना? We study this through the expenditure method. So if consumption expenditure or consumption spending is going to increase, aggregate demand will increase. Aggregate demand will increase, GDP will increase. GDP will increase, economic growth will increase. है ना? Then supportive government and RBI policies. So both government policies as well as RBI policies have been expansionary in nature, if you see. And RBI has brought in rate cuts, and that this has also been supported by tax cuts by the government. That means both RBI as well as government, that means both fiscal policy as well as monetary policy is working on the expansionary side. That is, they want to increase the consumer spending. These are the three major reasons why our domestic economy has remained resilient. Right? Then, if we talk about the global context, global growth muted in many advanced economies. So, in many advanced economies like US, UK, Europe, and all, growth is muted, growth is a little less, inflation is high. Policymakers, they are facing the problem of sticky inflation and modest growth. Can anyone tell me what is this scenario called? What is this type of inflation? Or you can say, when we understand, what is it called? When inflation is also sticky, inflation is also high, and economic growth is also less, or you can say unemployment is also high. Who's going to tell me what is this scenario called? We are seeing this in the newspaper also, that US is facing this kind of a situation. Can anyone tell me what is the situation called when inflation is also high, economic growth is also less, unemployment is also less? Very good, KS Parmeshwara. This situation is called stagflation. So advanced economies are facing this problem of stagflation, right? Stagnant growth and inflation as well, high inflation. Okay? So this is the scenario in the global context. Okay, so if I talk about the current situation in the growth assessment, let's talk about the growth as of now. Firstly, let's talk about growth. Domestic growth is on track. Rural consumption has remained resilient. Okay, so rural consumption, urban consumption is modest. So urban or rural, if we compare, rural consumption has performed better. Tractor sales increased 9.2%. Two-wheeler retail increased by 4.9% in quarter one. Okay, urban consumption modest. Okay, okay. Government capital expenditure has remained strong. Capex is very strong. If I talk about services, PMI, what is PMI? Purchasing Managers Index. Tell me in the comment section what is the meaning of Purchasing Managers Index. Let me see who is going to give me the answer. What is the meaning of Purchasing Managers Index and who calculates this Purchasing Manager Index? So यहाँ पे they're saying services PMI is at 60.5, which is at 11-month high, which is a good thing, positive outlook. Construction sector robust, industry has remained uneven. Okay, when we talk about the core industries, when we talk about the core industries and their performance, some of the industries have performed well and some of the industries have performed negative. For example, mining and electricity, maybe we've seen a negative growth. Okay, Hanji, tell me what is this PMI, Purchasing Managers Index? Anyone? See, in this Purchasing Managers Index, we basically survey the industrialists. हम किसका survey करते हैं? We survey the industrialists, the businessmen. We ask them that how confident are you of the business? What are your business expectations? Upcoming business expectations. ठीक है? So we take a survey of these industrialists. If the value is greater than 50, that means they are bullish. That means they are focusing on expansion. There's going to be expansion. If the value is less than 50, that means they anticipate contraction. If the value is equal to 50, that means they are neutral, no expansion, no contraction. Whatever the economic activity is going as of now, ऐसी ही economic activity चलेगी. So this is the Purchasing Managers Index. Okay. So this you should know. These are some basics which you should know. ठीक है, चलिए. Now let's talk about the outlook. Monsoon has been above normal. Plus 4% LPA rainfall. You can say Kharif sowing has increased by 5.1%, which actually supports agriculture. Rising capacity utilization, strong capital expenditure, but there are obviously risks like global tariffs, the 50% tariffs. ठीक है. Suresh is saying this is my first class. Is are others also facing this audio issue? Please let me know. Chalo. If I talk about the risks which are associated with this, we have global tariffs, we have trade negotiations, geopolitical tensions, also volatile global finance. Also, these are some issues. These are some risks that we are facing. Okay. Then, if I talk about the financially 25-26 projections, real GDP growth is approximately it is going to be around 6.5%. Okay, this is estimated, but of course in quarter 1 6.5%, quarter 2 6.7%, 3 6.6%, 6.3%. Okay, this data you need to remember. Mic alignment, as in any suggestion in that aspect? This mic is very close to my mouth. I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to do. What else should I do to, increase this voice? I really have no idea. So I'll get it checked later on. Let's continue with the session right now. Okay, if I talk about the inflation assessment, current situation, CPI headline inflation fell for eighth straight month. So headline inflation, also let me know in the comment section what is the difference between headline inflation and core inflation. We are using headline inflation over here. So CPI headline inflation, which talks about your retail inflation as of now, which talks about retail inflation, it fell for eighth straight month, right? At 2.1% in June 2025. 77-month low. First negative food inflation also we saw minus 0.2% in June because vegetables and plus pulses ke prices fell. Fuel inflation eased to 2.6%. Core inflation was a little higher, 4.4%, driven by gold. See, when I discuss about headline inflation talks about the price level of all the commodities. Price level of all the commodities, whether it's food, whether it's fuel, whether it's anything. Then we have core inflation. When I subtract the volatile items, when I subtract the volatile items like food, fuel, and energy, what do I get? I get core inflation. Okay, I get core inflation. Then, if I talk about the outlook is benign because of it is good because of favorable base effect. है ना? Then a strong monsoon, kharif showing reservoir levels, comfortable buffer stock, CPI projections are also in this flexible inflation target band. And what is this flexible inflation target band? Basically, we have to keep our inflation between 2 to 6%. So around 4 plus minus 4%. 4 plus minus 2% is the range. That means it can be as low as 2%, it can be as high as 6% your inflation. You have to maintain this range. Okay, and we are well between this range. Okay? Then if we talk about external sector, current account deficit moderated to 0.6% of GDP from 0.7%. So current account deficit is basically when your imports are more than exports. है ना? When your imports are more than exports, that is what is called a current account deficit on the current account basically. है ना? That has reduced. A good thing. Services exports in the world have increased from 2% in 2005 to 4.3% in 2024. So you can see the scenario from 2% to 4.3%. Our exports have also increased. Overall scenario. We're not considering about this particular year wherein, because of tariffs, our exports might have been impacted. But we are generally, in the general sense, as when we compare it to 2005, 15 years back. है ना? ठीक है? Or 20 years back. ठीक है, चलो. FDI gross inflows increased 5% to $15.9 billion. ठीक है, तो FDI has increased. FPI, emerging market economies inflows are strong. But India saw net outflows. We know because of so many reasons. We have read it in our daily classes. Then external commercial borrowing inflows have increased. Forex reserves right now are at $688.9 billion as of August 1, 2025. You have to remember this, learn this. How much foreign exchange reserves do we have as of now? $688.9 billion. Okay, which covers 11 plus months of export, your imports. Okay, so how much is your forex reserves right now? $688.9 billion. You have to remember this. External sector has been remained resilient, sustainable financing assured. Liquidity surplus है economy में. We are in a liquidity surplus 3 lakh crore per day average since last MPC. ठीक है, repo cut transmission, if I talk about that, then weighted average rate has been decreased by 71 basis points. Deposit rates have decreased by 87 basis points. RBI to maintain adequate liquidity for smooth transition. ठीक है, so liquidity is in surplus as of now. That is what you have to remember. If I talk about the financial stability, then bank CRAR is 17.44%, which is well above the minimum. Can anyone tell me what is the minimum amount of capital to risk weighted asset ratio that the banks have to keep with themselves? Can anyone tell me what is the minimum CRAR? Here we are saying that 17.44%, which is well above the minimum that we have to keep. CRAR is good. Gross NPAs have declined. Net NPAs have declined. So you can see here, liquidity coverage ratio is 132.8%. Okay? If I talk about NBFCs, for them, CRAR is हाँ जी, yes, सिंह संदीप एब्सोल्युटली राइट, 4 to 5 months का आपका सही रहेगा, ठीक है। चलिए, एनबीएफसीज में CRAR 25.78%. Gross NPAs have declined in the NBFCs also, which is a very good thing. Gross NPAs, if they have declined in NBFCs, that is also a very positive sign. ठीक है? Then if I talk about credit growth, bank credit growth has also increased by 12.1%. Though slower than the previous year, which is 16.3%, but credit growth is still quite good. Fine. Chalo, then there were certain additional announcements made. Let's just read about this briefly. First, we have the Jan Dhan Yojana. It has completed 10 years. So, panchayat level camps for re-KYC, new accounts, micro insurance, and pensions. So, announcements were made. Let's read what this is. So, this Jan Dhan Yojana is a major financial inclusion program. It has completed 10 years. And many Jan Dhan Yojana accounts are due for re-KYC. That means updating the KYC, identity, address details, and all. So, they are still not updated. Because KYC validity requires periodic renewal. है ना? जैसे every 10 years you have to renew your KYC. But this KYC has not been renewed. So for re-KYC, to this facilitate this re-KYC, banks will organize camps at the panchayat level. Okay, so that this KYC norms can be updated, KYC details can be updated. So at the panchayat level, the banks, they're going to organize camps from 1st July to 30th September 2025. This was mentioned over there. And इससे क्या होगा, जो भी account holders हैं, जनधन account holders, they are going to benefit and they can then update their KYC and all. ठीक है? Apart from that, new accounts can be opened. Those who already have Jandhan, not for them. Okay, and those who don't have a Jandhan account, they can open new accounts in these camps only. Then you can enroll in and promote micro insurance and pension schemes also. Grievances related to customer support and all will also be handled at the panchayat level. Okay. Then secondly, simplified claim settlement. See, the bank customers, okay, who are diseased, we need to settle claims of them who are claiming some amount of money. Okay, if an account or locker has a nominee or survival, banks cannot ask for succession certificates or court orders. So basically, if there is a nominee, there is any kind of deceased bank customer, jiska paisa has to go to some nominee or someone. In that case, you cannot ask for any kind of succession certificate. Ki acha, haan, court order and all for your money. You just have to give basic documents like death certificate of the person, ID proof and all. And you don't need to give all other kind of documents and all. Okay? And if there is no nominee, claims up to 15 lakh can still be settled, but only a simple form, death certificate, heir declaration, indemnity, all these things should be mentioned. And these banks, they must close such claims within 15 days. This is what has been announced. Okay. Then there is this retail direct platform expansion. So when I took up this class of RBI related important schemes, we did this retail direct scheme. I hope you guys have attended that class. If not, go and attend it. Those are the 6 most important schemes of RBI. I have taken it on YouTube only. Okay, so the RBI's retail direct platform now allows individuals to invest in treasury bills through SIP mode. So, through the SIP mode, you can invest in treasury bills of the government. Individuals can invest. Okay, they can set up auto bids so that money is regularly invested in upcoming T-bill auctions. That they don't have to manually go and purchase them. So this has also been expanded. ठीक है, so Indian economy shows resilient growth, price stability is also there, monetary policy is balanced, it supports growth without compromising inflation target. Then RBI remains agile, proactive, data driven. So India is well positioned in global economy and domestic economy is quite resilient. This is the basic crux of whatever we've done till now. ठीक है, so this is giving you an entire scenario. How is our economy as of now? So when, so if you're asked, ki, you tell me that, what is the status of the domestic economy as of now? So you can quote all these things. You can talk about inflation, you can talk about growth, you can talk about RBI's policy, you can talk about government's policy and how it is, facilitating a growth and all. You can talk about that. Fine. Then August 4 to August 6 May, there was this monetary policy committee meeting or resolution. Let's talk about the details of it. So this was the 56th meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee. And who was the chairperson? Sanjay Malhotra ji. So ex officio chairperson of MPC is who? The RBI governor. And who's the RBI governor right now? Sanjay Malhotra ji. Right. So the policy repo rate was kept unchanged at 5.5%. Remember, what is the policy rate? What is the repo rate? It is 5.5%. SDF 5.25%, which is always 0.25% less than the repo rate. You have to remember that. Then we have marginal standing facility rate and bank rate, which is always 0.25% above the repo rate. Okay, so repo rate, whatever the repo rate is, usse plus 0.25% is going to be your MSF and bank rate. Always remember this. So even if you only remember repo rate, so you can calculate it this way. And minus 0.25%, so you get your SDF. Okay? Policy stance neutral. And inflation much lower than expected. Isliye we do not really bring in any other change. Core inflation steady, growth robust, effect of 100 basis points repo rate cut since February 2025 is still unfolding. So abhi tak whatever, the total 100 basis points when we have cut the repo rate, abhi uska effect we have not yet started seeing. So transmission takes a little time. So we are going to see how this 100 basis points reduction is impacting the growth. Okay? Then domestic economy is resilient, which is supported by private consumption, rural demand, government capex, services and construction. We've seen this. Industrial growth is subdued because of weak electricity and mining output. So Baki to is performing good. It has been modest, but only specifically in electricity and mining we have seen a negative growth. So sometimes they can directly ask you that which sectors in the industrial growth have shown a negative trend. So remember, it is your electricity and mining output. We have certain supportive factors also. We have good monsoon, higher capacity utilization, favorable financial conditions, strong policy support, right? Okay. But of course, there are global tariff issues also. We have trade tensions, geopolitical uncertainties. GDP projection, if I talk about it, is 6.5%. Okay. CPI inflation 2.1% year on year. So inflation is also controlled. Core inflation 4.4%. ठीक है. अब we saw core inflation may increase because of this increase in gold prices. Gold prices are plummeting. We know that gold prices are increasing a lot, है ना? What are the drivers of inflation? Base effects is favorable, good monsoon, kharif sowing. We've already seen these things, है ना? ठीक है. So this is the quarterly projection of real GDP. You can see here. It is around this 6.5%, and we have CPI over here. ठीक है. Okay, so why did RBI take that decision? We are going to keep the repo rate at 5.5%, and our policy is going to be, our stance is going to be neutral, because headline inflation is much lower than expected, than projected. Okay, due to food deflation. Then core inflation is rising steadily, growth is stable, a transmission impact. We have to see the transmission impact as of now. Abhi time hai. Okay. Then there was a statement on development and regulatory policies also. Let's take a look at that. We've already seen वैसे basically, for example, standardization of claim settlement in diseased customers. So what is the current issue? That banks follow different claim settlement procedures. As per Banking Regulation Act of 1949, different banks, they follow different claim settlement procedures. So there is no uniformity. When there is no uniformity, then there are delays, there is hardship for the nominees, for the survivors, for the legal heirs. So RBI is going to streamline and standardize the documentation process. Ki every kind of bank is going to follow the same procedure. ठीक है? A draft circular will be released soon. Secondly, auto bidding facility in RBI Retail Direct. So what was happening before? In this we have this RBI Retail Direct scheme. When was it launched? In November 2021. What does it do? It allows retail investors to directly buy government securities. है ना? You can directly, retail investors like you and me, we can buy these government securities. Pehle it was only for the institutional investors and all, but now even we are allowed. Now enhancement has been done, new payment options have been available. ये mobile app से you can buy these treasury bills, and you can have this auto bidding feature. बार बार you don't have to invest, बार बार you don't have to open the app and all. Automatically you can place bids. पहले से you can set it कि अच्छा इतना I'm going to bid. ठीक है. Then so basically for banking customers, a procedure has been simplified and it has been made uniform. ठीक है. And then if I talk about settlement of diseased customers claims, we'll have the draft framework soon, right? Then for retail investors, auto bidding facility and indirect T-bill auctions. ठीक है. Okay. चलिए. Then RBI Governor's inaugural address at financial institution benchmarking and calibration. There was this 2025 conference. We had this 2025 conference of financial institutional benchmarking and calibration conference. Right. So the theme was, what was the theme? You have to remember the theme. Okay, you have to remember this theme, charting new frontiers. Okay, charting new frontiers. Remember it. This is the theme. And we have to basically respond to the challenges of tariffs, trade uncertainties, geopolitics, and we have to work towards our Viksit Bharat. We have to become a developed country by the year 2047. Okay, so it talks about India's story of resilience, strong rebound post COVID. We have seen a strong rebound post COVID. Okay, approximately 8% average annual growth we have seen from 2021-22 to 24-25. This year we have seen a reduced growth around 6.5, 6.7%. But yes, post COVID we have seen a rebound. IMF, which is India, IMF says India's fastest growing major economy, and it is set to become the third largest globally. You know, we've recently surpassed Japan to be the fourth largest economy, and we are soon to become the third largest economy. Inflation is at an eight-year low at around 1.6% as of July 2025. We have seen fiscal discipline also. Deficit has reduced from 9.2% to 4.4% of GDP. And the banking sector is showing resilience. External sector current account deficit has reduced at 0.6% GDP. Monetary policy, may we are seeing price stability, which has been the primary goal. We have seen stability, investor confidence is good. Okay. If I talk about regulation of banks, then RBI regulated entities like banks, NBFCs, HFCs, AIFIs, they have seen a 73% of credit supply. So their credit supply is also good. Okay. Fine. Okay, if I talk about recent moves, we have PSL targeting, priority sector lending targets have been changed, rationalized prudential norms for the urban cooperative banks. I've taken up all these sessions in detail. New AIF investment norms, liquidity coverage has improved, right? And from Basel 3 from April 2027, this is our future plan that we are going to implement it more effectively. Okay, financial inclusion index shows progress. Okay, financial inclusion index में we have seen progress, and but there are gaps in usage and quality. Access वाला part has improved. Banks running gram panchayat level campaign, re KYC social security enrollments, they are doing so है ना. We have business correspondents which are being trained and they are providing wider services. MSMEs, banks and NBFCs, they are urged that we should use this ULI to lend to the MSMEs. Chiki, technology has been the sine qua non of growth, very important factor of growth. RBI is pushing account aggregator framework, unified lending interface, Pravah platform. So we are using more and more of artificial intelligence, right? Then, if I talk about, okay, so then we can talk about the rethinking regulations in an interconnected financial system. We are going to talk about the evolution of financial sector regulations in India very briefly. In 1935, RBI was established. 1949, RBI was empowered to regulate and supervise commercial banks. It became the central bank. It was nationalized in 1949. है ना? RBI was nationalized in 1949. 1963-64 में powers extended to the NBFCs. Then 1966 में powers extended to urban cooperative banks also. ठीक है. Then 1991 में we had reforms. We had Narsimham Committee recommendations. है ना? In 1991, 1998, Then entry of private banks were allowed. Prudential norms were set for banks. Capital adequacy was aligned with global standards. We started following the Basel norms as well. RBI statutory powers for NBFC oversight. Reforms in monetary policy, exchange control, liberalization. है ना? Then 1992 में SEBI was given statutory powers. 2000 onwards IRDAI and reinsurance PFRDA was made for pension funds. 2020 IFSCA was created. है ना? Right. Then collectively regulators have strengthened India's financial system overall. Right. ठीक है? Then there are certain models that are there. There are certain models that we follow for regulation. Let's take a look at it in this document, in this RBI bulletin of 2020, of August 2025. Models have been mentioned for regulation. So first we have the sectoral or the traditional model. In this, what happens is each regulator looks after both prudential regulation, safety and stability both. There are two things that one regulator has to take into account. One is your safety, second is stability. Now in these models, what we are going to see, sometimes one regulator is going to see both, or they are going to be separate regulators for this or separate regulator for this, or there are going to be many regulators who are going to see both. है ना? ऐसे ऐसे करके we are going to divide these different models. First is your sectoral or the traditional model. Each regulator looks after prudential regulation, मतलब safety and stability दोनों, and conduct fair practices. Safety, stability, and third is your conduct. This is your regulation part. ठीक है? This is your regulation part and this is your conduct part, like fair practices, fairness and all is enhanced. तो दोनों चीजें are these both things are looked after in the traditional model. Within its own sector, everybody is going to look after both of these things. ठीक है? For example, we have India, Brazil, Hong Kong, Mexico. So both safety, stability and conduct, regulation and conduct will be looked after by each regulator. So if it's PFRD is going to look after the pension sector of both regulation and conduct also. SEBI, in the financial markets, both regulation and conduct will be looked after by SEBI. ऐसे करके ठीक है. Then we have integrated model wherein a single regulator oversees all financial services. Single regulator, there is only one regulator which is going to look after every kind of service, whether it's pension, whether it's insurance, whether it's banks, every kind of. ठीक है. Examples: Singapore, Scandinavian nations, UK हो गया, Russia, Japan, Germany, they just have one regulator which is going to take care of all the financial services. This is the second kind of model. India में which model do we follow? The traditional model. The sectoral model, every sector का we have a regulator. पेंशन सेक्टर के लिए पीएफआरडीए, इंश्योरेंस के लिए आईआरडीए, ठीक है, फाइनेंशियल मार्केट के लिए सेबी. वी हैव डिफरेंट रेगुलेटर्स एंड एवरी रेगुलेटर व्हाट इज इट गोइंग टू डू? जो भी रेगुलेटर है, इट इज गोइंग टू टेक केयर ऑफ इट्स पर्टिकुलर सेक्टर में सेफ्टी एंड रेगुलेशन एंड कंडक्ट दोनों ही देखेगा. इंटीग्रेटेड मॉडल में ओनली वन रेगुलेटर फॉर पेंशन, फॉर इंश्योरेंस, फॉर एवरीथिंग, फॉर ऑल फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज, ओनली वन रेगुलेटर विच इज गोइंग टू टेक केयर ऑफ एवरीथिंग. ठीक है. Then we have the Twin Peaks model. How does it work? There is one regulator who handles prudential supervision, other handles market conduct. So there are two sets of regulators. One is going to look after the prudential supervision, जैसे financial stability है, that means regulation वाला part is with someone, and conduct वाला part is with someone else. For example, we have Australia, Netherlands, uh, then Canada, South Africa. ठीक है. Then there is something known as the two agency model, जिसमें one agency regulates banks and insurance, or other agency regulates securities market, like France, Italy, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia. This is another model. Then US or EU model. US में there are multiple regulators at the federal and the state level also. So a lot of fragmented structure. There are so many regulators at the central level also, so many regulators at the state level also. Then EU में ECB, European Central Bank, supervises the Eurozone banks. National agencies handle conduct and other sectors. ठीक है? So, but the major crux is that in all these kind of models, the central bank, leads. Central bank is always going to lead. For example, RBI in India. Okay, we have RBI which is going to lead, and we have other regulators also, PFRDA, IRDAI, and we have SEBI and all. है ना? All these are regulators, but we have a lead role is with the central bank, which is going to ensure financial stability, credibility, and resilience. So basically, through these models, what we are trying to understand is the role of central bank. That central bank is very, very important. I hope it is clear till here. If there's any doubt, you can, ask me in the comment section. But I think you are able to understand many of this. है ना? Then, apart from this, there are types of regulations also, which have been mentioned in this document only. For example, principle based regulation, which is flexible, innovation friendly, but subjective. जैसे we have RBI's prudential framework for resolution of stressed assets. That means principle based is कि आप principles को follow कर रहे हैं which are flexible and innovation friendly. Secondly, regulation can be rule based कि rules बना दिया, clear perspective, proper rules have been made for जैसे master directions on priority sector lending. So rules have been made, proper directions have been set. This is one type of regulation. Outcome based कि finally में end result क्या हो रहा है. That is outcome based. For example, RBI directions on digital lending. When we are going to focus on fairness and transparency, so we are basically focusing on the end or the outcome. Then activity based. That same rules should be there for same kind of activity. Okay, for example, directions on financial services by the banks is going to be same across all the banks. Okay, whether it's an NBFC, whether it's a scheduled commercial bank, whether it's a non-scheduled commercial banks, financial services related regulations is going to be same whether it's any kind of entity. Then entity based. Focus on entity resilience. We're going to focus on one entity. है ना? Capital adequacy norms for NBFCs is going to be different. For the scheduled commercial banks is going to be different. Then rules based versus risk based. Rules based matlab equal rules for everyone. Risk based matlab proportional regulation which is going to depend on the systemic risk. Rules based and risk based. Rules based में equal rules for everyone. Risk based में according to the risk, according to the appetite of risk, there are certain rules. ठीक है? Then from 1G to Viksit Bharat, banking on trust, technology and transformation. So, in this particular speech or in this particular document, it has been mentioned that banks are very, very important in order to ensure inclusive growth, maintain financial stability, and responsible innovation. Fine. And then in this, they have explained a framework also that modern banking should, focus on. There's a framework for modern banking that we need to follow. For example, firstly, we have porul resources. That means there should be discipline in resources use. So whatever resources you are using, you have to be disciplined in using those resources. And resources in the sense it can be capital, it can be human resource, people, it can be the system, trust, reputation. We have to use it judiciously. We do not have to misuse. There should be transparency, there should be sustainability. We need to focus on financial inclusion. We have to maintain the reputation and the customer trust, which is very, very important asset for a bank. So for a modern banking to perform well, framework should be first of all we need to have discipline in the resource use. Second, Karuvi tools means that means we have to focus on responsible innovation. For example, whatever we need to go according to the trends which is happening. We need to go according to the current scenario. For example, paper passbook say we should move to core banking, move to mobile apps, and we should now integrate AI also. So innovation should be integrated as much as possible. ठीक है? Because if we move according to what is happening around the world, then this is going to give banks a competitive edge. It is going to focus demand cyber security, strong governance, ethical usage. Hence, innovation must be balanced with responsibility. Then we have column, time or timing, acting at the right moment. So whatever decision you take, act it at the right time. Right timing is very important. Whether you want to modernize, whether you want to pause, whether you want to expand, you have to take care of the external factors like economic cycles, interest rates, geopolitics, climate events, and based on these external factors only, your success is going to depend. That based on these external practices, you are or external factors, you are taking the right decision at the right time. Okay. Then Vinay, which is execution from boardroom to branch. Okay, a strategy is useless unless it's executed effectively. So execution matters. You have, you have made rules. You have made rules regarding PSL, but nobody's following your PSL norms. That means your execution, your implementation matters a lot. Making policies, making regulations, changing policies, expanding policies, and all, it will not do any good. But you have to focus on the implementation part. Okay. Then last is idan, which is or idam, context or place, understanding the terrain. Context in which a bank operates: economic, social, technological, geographic factors. Geographic concentration can be a strength, so you have to focus on the local level also. Local knowledge is very, very important. You have to understand which kind of people you are targeting. You have to understand which kind of geographical location you are targeting. Whether you're talking you're targeting a an urban area or a rural area or a developed area or underdeveloped area, what kind of population is there. Okay, you have to check about the climate risks and all also, and accordingly your banking facilities should be taken place. Okay, fine. So this was all the basics of it. Now we have the 5 chapters of RBI Bulletin which we're going to see in detail. Okay, let's take a look at that. So firstly, we have state of the economy. We've already seen that trade policy uncertainty. US trade policy is dominating the global sentiment. We have these 50% tariffs. Okay, tariffs increased on Brazil, Canada, India, Switzerland. This is the global scenario that we are seeing as of now. EU, South Korea, Japan, they have signed trade deals with the US. If I talk about IMF outlook, growth projections revised upward for 25-26. But obviously there are risks also. If I talk about manufacturing versus services sector, global manufacturing has contracted but services expanded. So this is the global scenario. Remember this. Commodity prices, industrial metals subdued, crude oil volatile, food prices rose moderately. If I talk about inflation and monetary policy, inflation remained sticky in advanced economies. Financial markets like US and Chinese equities, they rallied. Japanese equities surged after trade deals and all. ठीक है? Then, if I talk about domestic developments, we have seen mixed performance. Industrial activity subdued, but agriculture was good. Why? Manufacturing and services expanded. Agriculture sector was also good because of good monsoon. Rural and urban demand was also good. Rural demand was resilient. Urban demand moderated. ठीक है? Then GST e-way bills hit record high. है ना? Digital payments recorded double digit growth. Unemployment fell to 5.2% because of rural employment. Okay, then merchandise trade deficit widened to $27.3 billion. Merchandise trade deficit is goods trade deficit, that imports are greater than exports on the goods side only. Okay, the services trade net service exports increased. FDI and FPI. FDI was at a 4-year high. Inward FDI increased, but of course there were net outflows also. FPIs, they took out their money. Forex reserve $688.9 billion. That is what we saw, which is good to cover 11 months of imports. $688.9 billion. Remember it. ठीक है. Industry and services में industrial sector was good, but electricity and mining में we saw subdued growth, है ना. India became third largest in solar power generation. PM E-Drive scheme has been extended till 2028. ठीक है, so India has become the third largest economy, third largest in solar power generation. You have to remember this kind of data. ठीक है, okay. Inflation, we've already seen headline inflation fell, food prices moderated, core inflation dropped, and fuel and LPG prices also dropped. And our liquidity was surplus. We've seen already. We've seen this. And securities market 10-year yields firmed mid-July. So that was also good. Transmission of rate cuts we have seen. है ना? So this we've already seen. Right? State of the economy. Then, if I talk about the private corporate investment growth in 24-25 and outlook for 25-26, private corporate investment is the major key driver. So, private corporate investment has, you know, uh, been the major driver of growth in the Indian economy, which is a good thing. ठीक है. GDP growth robust 6.5%, disinflation, deleveraged corporate balance sheets, मतलब कि they are the loans and all liabilities are reducing of the banks. We have policy incentives like PLI schemes, energy transition, है ना. We have forward looking insights because India का capex is also good, है ना. Oh, if I talk about overall investment trend, we have seen a positive investment trend in 24-25. ठीक है, cautious optimism, expected growth. ठीक है, so that is also good. ठीक है, if I talk about investment characteristics, 907 banks and financial institutions have been funded, projects that have been analyzed. Mega projects are more than which are more than 5,000 crore. It is 25.8%. So out of the total projects, mega projects are around 25.8%, and large projects 1,000 to 5,000 crore are 37.2%. Okay, and 92% are greenfield investments, and 7.8% expansion, or you can see brownfield investments. See, there are two types of investments: brownfield investment and greenfield investments. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between brownfield and greenfield investments? What is the difference between the two? Just let me know in the comment section what is the difference between the two. If we talk about industry wise data, in infrastructure leads 50.6%, especially power and roads, and other major sectors are chemicals, construction, electrical equipment, metals. Quickly tell me in the comment section what is the difference between greenfield investments and brownfield investment. Acha, Ashish has given me the answer: greenfield, new ventures; brown is existing, and green is new. Very good, Parmeshwara. So, brownfield investment means we are investing in an already existing enterprise. That means we are majorly focusing on expansion purposes. But when I talk about greenfields investment, it is in new ventures. When we are, building up, say, a new airport. But if we are renovating an old airport, or we are expanding an old airport, that means that is brownfield investment. Absolutely correct. Already established ventures, yes, Ashish, absolutely correct. If I talk about geographic distribution, which are the top 5 states जहाँ पे investment हुई है? गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र, आंध्र प्रदेश, राजस्थान, यूपी. Remember, some approximately 60% of the project costs are there in Gujarat, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Rajasthan, and UP. Remember, top 5 states. Capital expenditure: 39.3% of total proposed capital expenditure has been spent in 24-25, and capex in this 25-26 2.67 lakh crore, which is higher than the current year. ठीक है, and what are the financing sources? Banks say how many projects have been financed? 907 projects. External commercial borrowing say how many projects have been financed? 448 projects. Equity, IPOs, FPOs, rights issue is सबसे 229 projects. And combined financing, यानी कि mixed financing या diverse funding channel से many projects have been signed. ठीक है, investment optimism is moderate. Majority projects are greenfield. So maximum projects are greenfield, ठीक है, and not brownfield. Corporate balance sheets are also healthy. If I talk about mutual funds, then there is a rising preference for equity investments. More and more people are focusing on equity investments. जो retailer investors हैं, they are shifting from traditional saving instruments, bank deposits, FD में नहीं डाल रहे हैं. They are moving towards equity oriented investments. More and more people are investing in SIPs. More and more people are investing in mutual funds. So पहले क्या होता था? People used to invest in FD and all. Majorly उसमें they used to invest. They were risk averse people पहले. But now they are moving towards equity oriented. ठीक है, जहां जहां पे भी इक्विटी है. Share of mutual funds in household gross financial savings have increased from 0.9% to 6% in 2023. That means more and more people are investing in mutual funds. ठीक है, and what are the factors that are driving this trend? Rising income levels हो गया, higher financial literacy, young population, digital ecosystem growth, internet penetration, trust building. These are the factors that are driving this trend. ठीक है, then if I talk about the growth of the mutual fund industry, if I talk about assets under management, kitne assets they are managing mutual fund industry, it has increased from 6.1 lakh crore in March 2010 to 65.7 lakh crore in March 2025. Compound annual growth rate 17.1% over 15 years. If I talk about SIP, systematic investment plans, monthly SIP inflows crossed 27,000 crores in June 2025. Retail investor ka, if I talk about dominance, 91.7% of mutual funds are held by the retail investors. Okay? And women participation is also quite good in this mutual fund category. Okay, then if I talk about equity oriented funds outpacing the others, so equity oriented funds, people are moving towards equity oriented funds. Okay, it was 2.1 lakh crore in March 2010, and now it's 34.5 lakh crore in March 2025. That means ये retail investors, they are showing long term investment orientation. 61% of equity mutual fund assets are held over for 24 months. So in both SIP accounts, long-term equity investments, people are increasing their investments in these kind of mutual funds. Maharashtra holds over 25% of equity AUM. Northern and eastern states have lower shares, but they are catching up. Majorly Maharashtra में है. B30 downs, they account for 18% of MF mutual fund assets. ठीक है? So you can see over here, average assets under management of equity oriented mutual funds, maximum Maharashtra, and growth rate of equity oriented mutual funds between 2015 to 2020-25. So you can see that people have increased their investments in uh, this, right, in mutual funds. ठीक है, mutual funds ownership in domestic equities has increased 3.7% of NSE listed companies. Mutual funds now have substantial voting power also. And our voting trends have also been increased. ठीक है? Then passive and overseas investments. If I talk about overseas investments or passive investments like ETFs and all, exchange traded funds and all. So that has also increased from 6.1% to 17% in March 2024. And interest increased during COVID-19 but moderated recently. Investors are using this liberalized remittance scheme to enhance or to have access to the international equities. Okay, we have these flexi cap funds which witness substantial inflows because of investment flexibility. Okay, then mutual fund inflows, they have cushioned equity markets against FPI driven volatility. So mutual funds where more and more people are investing, which has really helped in cushioning the impact of or FPI outflows. So people are taking out their money, FPI upon portfolio investors are taking out their money, but mutual funds may growth we have seen which has kind of cushioned this outflow. Okay, then if I talk about the determinants of equity and equity mutual fund flows, then they have used certain methodologies like random forest or permutation test, Shapley values. You don't need to go into the details, it's just some technical part that they use. ठीक है, demat accounts have increased, FD rates have increased, business confidence index has improved. Okay, equity mutual fund flows, they do not predict GDP, but GDP growth causes mutual fund flows. That is what we have found through tests and all. Okay, so if GDP is improving, economic growth is happening, people invest more and more money in the mutual funds. Okay, so what are the implications? Conclusion that people are preferring equity oriented mutual funds, which is helping in financial inclusion, alternative returns, economic optimism. These are the drivers of mutual fund. Okay, and mutual funds role in household savings and capital markets is increasing. And there's increased retail participation, investor education, risk monitoring, protection mechanisms, stewardship in corporate governance. These are needed for mutual funds resilience and growth. ठीक है, then fourth chapter is related to two-wheeler EV adoption. Okay, we have got some evidence from Indian states. EV adoption in India is nascent, but two-wheelers play a critical role. So EV adoption abhi it is not that good in our country. Two-wheeler adoption has increased. Okay, India has transition to EVs. They align with India's Panchamrit climate commitments. Okay, we have to reduce emission intensity of GDP by 45% by 2030. This is our target, and we have to achieve net zero by 2070. This is our target. So, adoption of EVs help us in fulfilling this target. Help us in attaining this target. But EVs, they can also address domestic challenges. It is going to help us in reducing our oil imports, help in curbing pollution. It is going to create jobs in the new age manufacturing sector. And India is the second largest two-wheeler manufacturer globally, third largest automobile market. That means it is very, very important for EV manufacturing also. Right? So what are the forces that are contributing to growth of EVs? Because of climate change and a global warming is happening, we need to reduce carbon emissions. We need to reduce our carbon footprint, because of which we need to adopt EVs. Hannah, we are focusing more and more on renewable energy. We have to advance renewable energy. And we are focusing on rapid urbanization. More and more urbanization is happening, because of which EVs are required. Data capture and analysis, battery chemistry, energy security. These are the reasons why EVs have to be their adoption has to be increased. If I talk about global experience in this EV scenario, then Norway initiated EV incentives in 1990s. US started in 2008. China in 2014. And how policies like tax breaks ho gaya, subsidies, charging infrastructure, these are the main drivers worldwide, and these have really helped in people adopting EVs. In 2023, China 78% dominated global two-wheeler EV sales. So China was dominating. India's two-wheeler EV penetration was approximately 5% of sales in 2023. So our EV adoption is not that good. EV adoption in India is not that good. ठीक है? Fine, but we need certain supportive policies. 80% of two-wheelers in India could be electric by 2030-31. This is according to a research. Okay, so if I talk about state level policies, most rolled out between 2021 and 23. Most of the EVs rolled out in 2021-2023. Southern states like Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, they were the early movers. And what were the three pillars of state EV policies? Demand incentives were provided, like subsidies, tax waivers, charging infrastructure development was provided, skill development and R&D promotion. Okay, so most of the EVs, they were rolled out between 2021 and 2023, and there were three states, Karnataka, these were the southern states which initially adopted. It was Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and over a period of time, and maximum you can see over here, this trend over here from 2021 to 2023, most of the EVs have been rolled out in this time frame. Okay, okay, then so what were the key findings from this? That state EV policies, they are very very important to boost EV adoption. South and the west, they showed early adoption. If I talk about charging infrastructure and policies, they have a multiplier effect on adoption. If you provide charging infrastructure also along with that, and you have good policies like subsidies and all, then EV adoption can increase manifold. It can improve manifold. Okay. Then aggressive versus moderate incentives. So if you move in with aggressive uh, incentives, like you're providing subsidy, providing waivers, this is going to have a strong positive effect. But if it is moderate, not subsidy, just waiving off loans and all, or waiving off some kind of situation, in that case, in that case, there's a weaker effect. Okay. Then in June 2023, we focused on subsidy rationalization. Subsidy was cut from 40% to 15%. States with no top-up subsidy adoption fell. So subsidy was reduced in 2023. इसलिए उसके बाद we did not see good enough EV adoption. And the EV adoption reduced post 2023 because of this reduction in subsidy. है ना? And if somebody gave extra subsidy, वहाँ पे भी there was a smaller decline, but हाँ, there was a decline only. So post 2023, after reduction of subsidies, people stopped buying these. ठीक है? So what is the conclusion? That state level EV policies, they matter a lot. Charging infrastructure is a game changer. So if you provide charging infrastructure along with the policies, it is going to really help in adoption. Regional gaps are also there. That means we need to focus on balanced national and state strategy to achieve our EV adoption. This target 30% new vehicle sales electric by 2030. We want to achieve this target. We have to strengthen state incentives, prioritizing. We have to prioritize charging infrastructure also. Okay, so we need aggressive demand incentives. These are solutions. These are very important. If you also get a question in your descriptive answer writing, these things you can mention. That for a stronger EV adoption, we need to focus on aggressive demand incentives and robust charging infrastructure. Aggressive demand incentives, also we have to provide waivers also and subsidy also, which is going to really enhance our EV adoption then. The last chapter in this RBI bulletin was related to horticulture diversification, which is really important in the path of agriculture resilience. So, agriculture still employs 46.1% of India's workforce. This is according to PLFS 23-24. Its share in gross value added is declining. है ना? And agriculture sector is very important because most of our population is a part of this agriculture sector only. ठीक है? And if I talk about sources of agriculture growth from 1992 to 93, 1990 to 93 to 2020 to 23, there are four key drivers of growth: area expansion, yield improvements, price effects, and diversification. Yield gains we have seen 1.67%, diversification 0.68%, cropping intensity improved, net sown area is still limited. But role of horticulture is very important over here. ठीक है? Fruits and vegetables, they occupy 5.77% of GCA, but they contribute 28.19% of GVO. That means they're, if they occupy less space, gross cropped area. GCA, gross cropped area, है ना? So they occupy less space, but they contribute more to the output. Okay. And fruits and vegetables, they showed highest growth across all decades. Share of fruits in food expenditure doubled. That means if we focus on this horticulture, if we focus on fruits and vegetables, then our agriculture productivity can increase a lot. That is what we're trying to understand from here. Small farmers allocate a larger share of land to horticulture. That means we are then, focusing on inclusion also. When small farmers are allocating a lot of their land in horticulture and horticulture is contributing a lot, that means small farmers are being uplifted. Vegetable suits the small holders because of low capital, quick returns, high labor intensity. That means we should focus on horticulture. This is distribution of area under horticulture across farm categories. And a small में you can see 1950, 1995 to 1996, small and small farmers में we have 38.6, and if we see in 2015-16 it has increased to 48.3. Okay, fruits and vegetables may you can see the growth here also. And 57 to 60, 47 to 56. So more and more small and marginal farmers or small and medium farmers, unka share is increasing, and majorly small farmers, they are focusing on horticulture, which is really improving and helping in their upliftment. Okay? But there are certain challenges in the horticulture that we are facing. First of all, yield fluctuations. So there are high instability in the fruits, mango, citrus, grapes, sapota. So yield may fluctuations we have seen. The yield has not been consistent. Vegetables are more stable than the fruits. But then we have this top tomato, onion, and potato. यहाँ पे there we see volatility. Right? Vegetables may everything else can be stable, but top may we have seen volatility. Good afternoon, Anurag. Okay, then inadequate post-harvest storage. This is the problem of the entire agriculture sector. Our post-harvest storage is very, very weak. It is not good. A lot of wastage happens in our country. This is a major challenge for the entire agriculture sector, not only for the horticulture. You can see that 1.5 trillion losses we have incurred annually. And fruits and vegetables में सबसे ज़्यादा. Okay, then India has 38.2 MMT cold storage and 75% are used for potatoes only. So maximum of our cold storage is used for potatoes. इसलिए बाकी में we see a negative effect. है ना? And if I talk about regional concentration, UP, West Bengal, Gujarat, Punjab, यहीं पे है 71% of the capacity, and बाकी सब में you can see around 30%, 29%. ठीक है? Then another issue is related to price volatility. There are a lot of fluctuations in the prices. इसलिए it is not offering stability to the farmers. Though the government has intervened a lot, for example, we have this mission for integrated development of horticulture, MIDH. And this has been released by the government. We have a horticulture cluster development program. We have R&D support is provided. Policy has been focused on cold chain and food processing. So it's not that the government is not doing anything. We have policies and all, but again, the implementation matters majorly. Okay, so this was your entire bulletin of August. I hope this session was beneficial for all of you. Download this PDF, read it again. This gives you a very good insight of the entire domestic global context, and it gives you a scenario as to what is currently happening in the economy, and this is very, very beneficial for you, not only for your MCQ part, not only for your phase 1 part, but for phase 2 and also for your interview. You get a lot of information regarding this. Okay? So I hope you guys have understood. If there is any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Otherwise, we are going to end the session over here. Thank you so much to all of you. Keep studying. I wish you all the best. And you can also, if there's anyone who wants to connect with me beyond these sessions, you can connect with me on Telegram. I will share, whatever classes I bring in, I share on Telegram. Mannat Educator is my Telegram handle. If you want, you can connect with me over there. Okay? All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day. Have a good Sunday. And I will see you all in my next one. Bye bye.